major revisions to homes or garages or anything on a property is going to happen. It would just be nice to have some transparency with the process.
I think that's what we would like, some neighborly, just being aware the whole second floor is being added and just being forthright and upright, especially if you're on the planning commission. That to me, that you would not disclose those facts and be forthright, and then when you're asked, when you actually then ask for the site plan and building permit, they say, well, you don't really need that and stuff. To me, I just, as someone who would be on the planning commission, I would think, oh, sure, let me share that information with you, because they told us, well, you didn't ask enough questions. Well, then when we start asking questions, you're not going to share this stuff. So to me, I don't quite understand the neighborliness, and that would just come as a shock to me, as someone who's on the planning commission, and you're talking about being neighborly and stuff. So I agree with you wholeheartedly with respect to that. And also, there was some, tomorrow night, I hope to just speak and give some additional details, which are not disclosed here, in terms of the, at the public meeting and stuff, and hope that some of you will come and learn about that and the code and stuff. And Tom, you might also help people understand, people are giving input, and I appreciate you calling this meeting together, but in terms of people wanting to give more input about the form-based and all that, how do they, what's the best venue besides just this meeting afterwards if they have thoughts? And it's the planning commission, I guess, that's sort of helping drive
There is
this, or
planning commission and council, and I talked to Rich Myers, but we're gonna be doing a follow-up to this
Okay.
as well. So, we're gonna keep on this one in terms of how we're moving forward. There's a new council coming in January regarding leadership. You're gonna see different changes, Kurt, which you're going through, and there's things which we need to know. We do have to do a better job. There's no question about it. And how, whether we alert the neighbors and how those delay issues are brought in with regard to demolition and getting the information out to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to do that.
Looking at this from a historic preservation perspective, that we have so many wonderful old buildings here. I mean, as you said, they're not the fancy buildings. It is what gives Narberth its residential character, and there's nothing like it in Lower Merion Township where you have this concentration of older homes. And we're not the only community that has faced or is facing these same kinds of challenges and trying to preserve that makes this special. Has anything been done to research what other communities have done who face these same kinds of challenges and what they've done with their ordinances and how they're protecting their housing stock and their density and their demolitions without necessarily dictating, paint colors, but that's not necessary. But the things that are not reversible, things that in the long run do make a difference. I mean, is anybody looking through that kind of?
Well, some
like
communities
one
have
community here
enacted.
that's working elsewhere to put the same goals.
Some communities have enacted historic preservation ordinances, and that's sort of whatever, like a lead balloon 25
Well, yeah,
years ago.
we tried this back in the early 90s, but I'm thinking that's a different environment now. And I mean, we worked on this for Narberth, and you can create a preservation ordinance where there is oversight. Oh, I'm sorry. We've basically got 50 years of preservation law that supports having a preservation ordinance. You can, as a community, you can regulate. There are all different ways of doing it. I mean, and that's not, we have one small historic district here. Narberth Park is a National Register historic district. We don't have any oversight of it because we don't have an historic architecture review board. So as a community, with the support of the borough government, that is something that one can move toward. There are all different ways of doing that. I don't know of anybody who really wants to do paint color except for Nantucket Island, but I wouldn't advise that for Narberth. But we did get, back in like 1992, a read from the state of Pennsylvania on the viability of Narberth being a historic district, and they really felt that really the whole town as a unit, because you don't have Independence Hall here, but what you do have is you have a context and you have that cohesive way the buildings work with each other. So I mean, that is an option. We got met with a lot of opposition when we tried it 20 years ago. We haven't tried to push something like that, but I think there are some maybe better methods available now than there would be then. But yeah, I mean, it's within people's rights to try to regulate preservation and try to advocate for it. So yeah. So yes, to answer your question.
Yeah, Katie.
I just wanted to get back to, it's been raised a couple times, like what Narberth's charm is. And I think it's really clear from this meeting and from talking to other people around Narberth is that Narberth's charm is something different to everybody. For some people, it's older homes. For some people, it's open space, although there isn't a lot of that in Narberth, so this isn't really the place to come for open space. For some people, it's neighborliness. You know, I mean, there's different things that people talk about when we talk about Narberth's charm. And just speaking as someone who has a young family and who bought a home here relatively recently, it was almost 10 years ago, but in Narberth years, that's very recent. And I also know a lot of new home buyers in Narberth because they tend to be in their 20s or 30s and have kids, and that's why they're not here tonight, except Kimberly's here, and a couple of other people. Yeah. So I just want to talk about like why people are buying in Narberth today and why square footage here is more expensive than anywhere else. Like Gladwin, Penn Valley, I mean, a square foot of Narberth is more expensive than those places. And the reason for that, I think, is because a lot of people are coming here from cities. I moved here from Chicago. I grew up in New York City, and I lived in Dublin. I did not want to move to a suburb. I didn't want to move to a car suburb where I had to drive everywhere. I wanted to move somewhere that felt a little more urban and that was walkable. Walkable means density. And I also wanted to feel like my neighbors were looking out for me. So there's a neighborliness quotient. I mean, I don't have to lock my door. I'm not saying that I don't. Of course I lock my door all the time. But I know that my neighbors are not going to let anyone break into my house because my neighbors basically live on top of me. I mean, you know, I have like, you know, a garage directly on my property that's on my neighbor's property, you know, and 3 other sheds basically, you know, within 5 feet of my backyard. So, like, that to me is Narberth, and it's not Marion Station, it's not Penn Valley. So I feel like we need to understand that people who like Narberth and are buying here because it looks different from Penn Valley and Marion Station. They're buying here because it reminds them of some of their Philly neighborhoods that they're coming from, or even Brooklyn. Well, I think they're coming here from Brooklyn. And that's why they like Narberth, because it doesn't feel like a car suburb. So I think it's worth keeping that in mind, that is keeping real estate prices high, or moving them higher, to the detriment of some of the people maybe who want to keep prices a little lower and more affordable because you know, maybe they're seniors on a fixed income, or maybe they are trying to buy their first home, whatever, you know. But that is happening. Real estate prices are pretty stable, if that's what matters to you. They're very stable in Narberth because of the density and because we have people walking around on the street saying hello to each other, walking into a store, walking into a dentist. I think we need to understand that this is not really a town that's about having 2 acres and a huge backyard. If you want that, you go somewhere else. So I just wanted to represent that point of view because I feel like that's the point of view of a lot of people buying Narberth today.
I receive that often. I work in Center City. I do real estate work as well, and I always get the call, what's going on in Narberth? Narberth itself has become a term.